It's 10 a.m. on WKYT Midmorning. Many are dead and dozens are injured after coordinated terror attacks in Belgium. We'll have the latest from Brussels, including an interview with a Kentuckian who felt this morning's blasts at the airport.
Police are looking for a suspect involved in an early morning robbery and chase in Lexington.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good morning. Welcome to WKYT Midmorning. We're tracking a breaking news alert this morning. At least 30 people have been killed and dozens hurt in a series of explosions in Belgium.
Here's a look at what we know right now. At least 2 explosions rocked the busy Brussels airport. Another was reported at a train station. CBS News says more than 130 people were injured by the blasts. U.S. authorities say they're investigating reports of 2 Americans injured in the Brussels bombings. Don Champion has the latest on the terrorist attacks.
Moments after the deadly explosions, people could be seen scrambling through a smoky hall inside Brussels airport. At least 2 explosions, one reportedly carried out by a suicide attacker, rocked the departure hall just after 8 o'clock in the morning local time.
There's several exits. Go down. All the luggage stays here.
Afterwards, airport workers led stunned passengers to the tarmac outside the airport.
I walked through a mess, a load of stuff, glass splitters, smoke, water dripping from the ceiling. We had to walk through puddles and we were evacuated.
A short time later, at least 1 explosion was reported at a metro train station in Brussels. Following the attacks, Belgium's prime minister said what the country feared the most had happened. The attacks, which appear to be coordinated, happened days after the high-profile arrest of terror suspect Salah Abdeslam in Brussels.
This particular attack, I believe, was something that they had in train, something they had worked out, that they accelerated given the arrest of Salah Abdeslam last Friday. He was probably aware of this. They were probably concerned that he was going to talk to authorities, and they moved this up.
Abdeslam, a prime suspect in the deadly terror attacks in Paris, had been on the run since November. Don Champion, CBS News.
Authorities feared Abdeslam could be planning another attack. The Brussels airport and the train station are shut down in the wake of the explosions.
This morning, we're hearing from a Kentuckian who is living in Brussels. Joby Bennett works just a couple of miles from the airport that was targeted this morning. The Corbin native told WKYT's Mark Barber that the explosions rocked his building.
It's eye-opening to let you know we're not that far from the U.S. and it's a society very similar to the U.S. So it's unsettling to see that it's not just what's happening in Syria and Iraq, but it's on our front doorstep here in Europe as well.
Bennett moved to Brussels for work about 4 years ago. He says he and his wife are now thinking about moving back to the United States with their 2 children because they do not feel safe in Belgium. President Obama is expected to make a statement about this morning's attack shortly from Cuba, where he's wrapping up a historic 3-day trip today. We're standing by for that report. We'll bring you the president's comments live once that begins.
We want to take a look now and see what's happening on our weather. We're enjoying nicer weather today, but some changes are on the way. Meteorologist Micah Harris is in the First Alert Weather Center now with details. Micah.
Yeah, and we have big changes, especially as we head out towards your afternoon and into the next couple of days, too, as those temperatures rise very rapidly. A lot of blue skies out and about. It's a gorgeous day in store. And look at this. We started off at 25 degrees in Monticello. We have already almost doubled that in Monticello, and we're not even to 10:05. So that just shows you, we have several hours of heating to go. It's really going to rise very rapidly, 66 by the afternoon with those gusty winds at 20 to 40 miles per hour. There's a reason why those winds are picking up, and that's not only going to be for today or tomorrow. Off toward Thursday, here comes the storm system. We need to watch very closely. Are we expecting any severe weather out of this? Well, I'm going to talk about that coming up in about 10 minutes.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thank you.
The search continues this morning for one of the suspects involved in an early morning robbery.
Lexington police say someone held up the marathon on Newtown Pike just after 4 a.m. And while headed to that scene, police say the suspect's Jeep crashed into a paddy wagon at a different gas station on Georgetown Street. No one was hurt in that crash. Police say 2 people in that Jeep ran into a nearby neighborhood. One of them was arrested on Charles Avenue, but the other suspect, thought to have a gun, is still on the run.
The Fayette County Board of Education has approved spending $500,000 to lower radon levels at 9 Lexington schools. After testing, it was determined that the level of radon in those 9 schools exceeded the EPA's standards. Radon is naturally occurring, but the U.S. Environmental Agency lists it as the second leading cause of lung cancer. That's why the school board voted to spend $570,000 to fix the problem. The district hopes to start making changes next week during spring break and have the problem fixed before the start of the next school year. You can find a list of the radon readings at each of the 9 schools on WKYT.com.
Today, a Lexington restaurant is joining in the effort to help a firefighter who is battling cancer. Lexington firefighter Matt Logsden was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer earlier this year. Today, the Papa John's restaurant on Avenue of Champions will donate 25% of its sales to the Matt Logsden Cancer Fund. And the State House in Frankfort has approved a bill that would make cancer a line-of-duty death for Kentucky firefighters. That bill calls for the state to give $80,000 to families of firefighters who die from cancer. Firefighters say they're at a higher risk of getting cancer because of their exposure to smoke and harmful chemicals on the job. The bill has already passed the Senate. It is now headed to Governor Bevin's desk for his signature.
President Obama will address the Cuban people and sit down with dissidents today on his third and final day of his historic visit to the island nation. The president met with Cuban leader Raul Castro yesterday and pressed him to improve human rights. Later today, President Obama will attend a baseball game between Cuba's national team and the Tampa Bay Rays. Well, the world's largest cruise company, Carnival, is going to Cuba. Passengers will be expected to spend 8 hours a day involved in some type of cultural experience. The 7-day trip will leave from Miami. It will cost $1,800 per person.
Voters in Idaho, Arizona, and Utah are heading to the polls today to decide who should be their party's presidential nominee. Last night, all 5 contenders did their best to set themselves apart during separate primetime appearances on CNN. Earlier in the day, all of the candidates, except Bernie Sanders, addressed the pro-Israel AIPAC conference going on in Washington. The FBI says it may not need Apple's help in unlocking that iPhone used by one of the San Bernardino shooters. Federal prosecutors made the surprising announcement on the eve of today's hearing in federal court in Riverside, California. In court papers, prosecutors say the FBI has been researching ways to access information in Syed Farouk's encrypted phone, and that they are getting help from an outside party. Today's hearing has therefore been canceled.
A stretch of I-75 in Tennessee that was damaged by a rock slide could open this week. The northbound lanes just south of Jellicoe have been closed for nearly a month. The Tennessee Department of Transportation posted video showing northbound I-75 being paved. Crews expect paving to be completed and the northbound lanes to reopen by Thursday. Southbound lanes were also closed for a few weeks but have already reopened. And we have a traffic alert this morning. The exit ramp from I-75 to Paris Pike will be closed until 8 o'clock tonight for brush removal.
All right, we are on standby for the president to make his remarks, and we'll be back with that shortly here on WKYT Midmorning. We expect that anytime now.
I keep it right here. Most people can teach their dog a few tricks: sit, stay, fetch. But what about paint?
Yeah. And he's all dressed for it as well. We'll have a look at this dog's special talent coming up after weather.
You know, some areas around town have already risen 10 to 20 degrees since this morning. It shows you a big swing of temperatures today and tomorrow, and then storms on Thursday. We're going to talk all about those coming up.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
We're looking at a live sky camera, bright blue skies. It's a beautiful day. It's going to stay that way the rest of the day, and that goes for tomorrow too. But then Thursday, that's when things start to change. Let's go through it day by day first. Live sky camera, your look looks good. And I want to show you this. Monticello finished off at 25 degrees early this morning. And now we're at, what, 49, roughly 50 degrees? So you're talking about already 20 to 25 degrees higher down in southern Kentucky. And that goes for Harlan, Middlesboro. That goes for London. London finished off right around that 31-degree reading. So we are really rising. Now the sun's up and those winds are starting to crank up, we'll see those anywhere from 20 to 40 miles per hour. And what that does for us, it nudges in that milder air. You're already feeling it outside. By the afternoon, we're going to be seeing temperatures there in the mid-60s later on this afternoon. Now, this goes off into Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. So today and tomorrow, pretty much twins of each other. We're going to have winds very gusty, up to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Both days anywhere from 62 degrees to about 70 degrees with those gusty winds. That helps us get that high. And also dry conditions, and that lasts throughout the next 48 hours. Then things change. Watch this. We get into your Thursday, and off into the morning, this particular model continues to throw off a couple of showers during the morning hours. Is that good for us? Absolutely. You want that around. You do not want a lot of sunshine beaming down when storms are expected in the forecast. So if you can get the cloud cover, if you can get the rain there during the morning hours, it's going to play a huge role in our forecast. Even if you don't get it, I still don't expect this to be widespread severe weather. However, I do expect some storms to move through, especially late in the afternoon, off into the evening. Look at that explode. That's some really heavy rain right there. And more good news out of this, that we're not expecting widespread severe weather, maybe isolated cells, is that it gets out of there before midnight. So really it's the afternoon and evening as of right now for the timing on this. That pushes on out. It's mainly heavy rain, some strong winds, and a lot of lightning. Once that moves on out, then we're talking about a much cooler Friday in store. But then what happens? It rises right back up on Saturday and into Sunday. If you're trying to do an Easter egg hunt, you'll probably want to lean more towards Saturday than Sunday because it looks like another system comes moving on in Sunday into Monday, which just so happens to be on Easter there on Sunday. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to go ahead and plan ahead, that Saturday will no doubt about it be the better day than Sunday. But all eyes really focused in on Thursday with those storms in the forecast, supposed to the next 48 hours, which are extremely nice. Yeah. Very nice feeling.
Maybe consider moving the Easter egg hunts and so forth a little earlier.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Micah. One dog is channeling his inner Picasso, and collectors are paying hundreds of dollars for his work.
Dagger, a 3-year-old lap golden mix, is a Long Island service dog dropout who's taken up painting. The dog selects his colors from a palette of non-toxic paints, and with a paintbrush attached to a paper towel, every stroke and dab is Dagger's. Isn't that fun to watch? The money he fetches for his paintings goes to the Canine Companions for Independence, where Dagger came from.
And I love the hat. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely. He is ready for it. I think
a true Picasso.
Has a sense of purpose. He knows what he's doing to help all of those dogs out there. Great. Well, Ethan Hawke takes on a jazz legend, and a country music icon gets ready to sing with one of the biggest names in pop.
Terry Okita has your eye on entertainment.
Katy Perry is teaming up with Dolly Parton. The two music superstars will do a duet for the first time at the Academy of Country Music Awards. The show airs April 8th live on CBS. Ethan Hawke walked the red carpet in Los Angeles for his new movie, Born to be Blue. Hawke stars as jazz legend Chet Baker, who struggled with drug addiction throughout his career.
I guess what got me involved in the movie is just a love of Chet Baker and the idea of the possibility of making a good jazz film.
Born to be Blue opens in theaters Friday and comes to video on demand next week. And a British judge pleaded with Madonna and her ex-husband, director Guy Ritchie, to resolve their custody battle over their 15-year-old son.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Nora O'Donnell with Gail King and Anthony Mason in New York. President Obama is about to make a historic speech to the people of Cuba. He will speak from Havana's Grand Theater. Of course, because of the breaking news this morning, he is likely to comment on this morning's terror attacks in Brussels, Belgium, that has killed at least 30 people.
U.S. officials say that the president was briefed on the situation very early this morning, and there are reports that some Americans were injured in the explosions at the Brussels airport and a subway station. Belgian officials say at least one of the airport bombings was a suicide attack. Margaret Brennan is in Havana traveling with the president. Margaret, good morning.
Good morning to you, Gail. Well, we know that President Obama was informed very early this morning. He has been in touch with European officials. He himself has been working the phones, as have his very top security advisors, who are trying to coordinate with Belgian authorities and offer any assistance in tracking down whoever it is who planned these attacks. Well, a lot of reports initially are pointing to ISIS. We don't expect President Obama to necessarily give that kind of specific detail about suspects or even specifics on injuries here. We have learned that Americans were among some of the victims, but until they track down their family members, the president's going to be very careful in choosing his words here. And this, as you say, was supposed to be an address to the Cuban people at a historic moment. This is the first presidential visit to Havana in 90 years nearly. And this was supposed to be turning towards new allies in this hemisphere, in this part of the world. And once again, the president's foreign policy agenda really getting trumped by this terror threat and these growing concerns. President Obama is about to address those concerns right now.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Please. Thank you very much. To President Castro, the people of Cuba, thank you so much for the warm welcome that I have received, that my family have received, and that our delegation has received. It is an extraordinary honor to be here today. Before I begin, please indulge me. I want to comment on the terrorist attacks that have taken place in Brussels. The thoughts and the prayers of the American people are with the people of Belgium, and we stand in solidarity with them in condemning these outrageous attacks against innocent people. We will do whatever is necessary to support our friend and ally Belgium in bringing to justice those who are responsible. And this is yet another reminder that the world must unite. We must be together, regardless of nationality or race or faith, in fighting against the scourge of terrorism. We can and we will defeat those who threaten the safety and security of people all around the world. To the government and the people of Cuba, I want to thank you for the kindness that you've shown to me and Michelle, Malia, Sasha, my mother-in-law, Marion.
President Obama continuing his speech now on CBS News, and CBSN.com would have the continuing speech of the president, but we did want to break in there with his comments this morning regarding the situation in Brussels, and CBS News now wrapping up their special report.
And of course saying that the U.S. will do anything that it can to aid in this war against the terrorists.
Yeah, that story still unfolding today in Belgium. All right, this is WKYT's Mid-Morning, and we'll be right back. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry here in Kentucky. It may surprise you as well. We're talking about aerospace. That's why Idea Fest is being held to help grow the industry even more.
We're joined now by Jonathan Gay, director of the Kentucky Innovation Network at Morehead State University, to learn more about it. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, tell us about Idea Fest Aerospace, right?
So a few years ago, the Innovation Network at Morehead, we were discussing ways that we could grow different industries in the region, and the one thing that we're discovering is we have an emerging industry in Morehead centered around aerospace, and it's statewide. It's an $8.7 billion industry in 2015 exports alone. It's much bigger than that when you pull in all the other numbers, and so we thought we need to find a way to advertise this, to let people know, and to try to leverage our strength and to grow that economy.
What are the ways to do that, and how much do you think this could grow? What could this become?
You know, I think it could become a really booming industry in our, it's already a booming industry in our state. We feel like it's something that we can grow in Morehead, particularly given the satellite program. We have students, staff, and faculty building satellites to go to the moon currently. So we feel like there's a lot of growth opportunities, and we wanted to bring everyone together to talk about ways that we can leverage that.
How did this come to be an important part up at Morehead State?
That's a great question. We have a terrific staff and faculty that have worked on this. Ben Malfris has sort of championed it. President Andrews, though, and a lot of other players have supported that industry. We have a program where we actually have students, year one, building small satellites. So it's pretty incredible. Space systems engineering, very hands-on, and it's a terrific program.
And this is for anybody who's interested in the area. We have the information up on the screen. April 5th, starting at 9 o'clock at the Moorhead Conference Center.
All right. Should be
Thank you.
interesting. Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Appreciate it. And we're back on WKYT Mid-Morning in just a moment.
Keep it right here.
Well, it looks like the rest of the day we're going to be there in the 60s. That goes for tomorrow, too. Both days are really nice days. And then Thursday, here comes some storms in the forecast that we will touch base on coming up at noon.
All right, keep watching on that. Beautiful day today.
Beautiful, yeah.
Enjoy
Let's
it.
enjoy. Hey, thank you for joining us with the latest, of course, coming up for you on WKYT News at noon.
We'll see you back. And remember that your news is always on at WKYT.com. We hope you have a great day and join us at noon.